From the global headquarters of Johns & Taylor in beautiful New Jersey, it's Marginally Better. Here's your host, Joe Taylor Jr.
How do you create amazing customer experiences when the rules of the game keep changing? Today, we'll explore the privacy paradox. Then, we'll tackle the human-bot balance. We'll learn why your gorgeous website might be invisible to ChatGPT and how companies are finding ways to serve both human and automated audiences without compromise. And finally, we'll talk about designers. When Shopify dropped UX from designer titles last June, it sent shockwaves to the industry. We'll hear from designers who are redefining their value in an AI-driven world and explore what it really means to be a designer when machines can handle the basics. That's all after the break on Marginally Better. Welcome to Marginally Better, a show about business, innovation, and the American economy. I'm Joe Taylor Jr. There's a paradox at the heart of modern customer experience. According to PwC research cited in CMS Wire, 63% of consumers say their trust in a brand increases when they receive personalized experiences. But here's the twist. 81% of those same customers believe the risks of modern data collection outweigh the benefits. So, how do you solve a puzzle where customers want to be known without being known? Writing in Forbes Business Council, Jim Ayub, who brings 33 years of experience in the customer service industry, identified what he calls the surveillance trap. It's the assumption that knowing more always equals serving better. He writes, modern businesses have to flip their entire mindset. Instead of asking, what can we collect? They need to ask, what do we actually need to deliver value? This shift represents a fundamental rethinking of how businesses approach personalization. For years, the mantra has been, collect everything, figure out the value later. But as privacy regulations tighten and consumer awareness grows, that approach is becoming not just ethically questionable, but economically unsustainable. The numbers tell a stark story. As Adrian Swinscoe notes in his analysis of customer trust trends, trust levels between consumers and companies have fallen to their lowest point since 2016. This isn't just about privacy breaches or data scandals. It's about a fundamental breakdown in the value exchange between businesses and their customers. CMS Wire's research on privacy-first personalization reveals that customers are increasingly sophisticated about data collection. They understand the trade-offs and are making conscious choices about what they share. The old model of collect now, ask forgiveness later simply doesn't work anymore. Companies that embrace what researchers call the transparency dividend are seeing unexpected benefits. When businesses are upfront about data collection and usage, customers don't just feel safer, they become more valuable partners in the personalization process. According to CMS Wire's analysis, this approach, often called participatory personalization, turns customers from data subjects into active collaborators. Instead of trying to infer preferences from browsing behavior, companies are finding success by simply asking customers what they want. Ayub's Forbes piece highlights companies that have turned privacy constraints into competitive advantages. Rather than viewing privacy regulations as obstacles, these businesses see them as opportunities to build deeper, more trusting relationships with customers. Ayub writes, creating tailored, relevant customer experiences without compromising privacy is one of the most critical challenges and opportunities businesses face in 2025. This isn't just about compliance. It's about recognizing that in an era of data breaches and surveillance capitalism, respecting customer privacy is itself a form of customer service. One of the most intriguing concepts emerging from this shift is what some companies call minimum viable personalization. Instead of collecting hundreds of data points, they focus on the few that actually drive value for consumers. This approach follows what CMS Wire describes as intelligent minimalism. using the smallest possible data footprint to deliver meaningful personalization. It's not about knowing less, it's about knowing smarter. So let's examine 3 takeaways for your business. First, practice data minimalism. Before collecting any customer data, ask yourself, will this information directly help us serve this person better? And would they understand why we need it? Second, make personalization participatory. Give customers granular control over what they share and show them exactly how their information improves their experience. Third, lead with transparency. Companies that clearly explain their data practices don't just avoid privacy problems, they create competitive advantages through customer trust. The question isn't whether you can serve customers well without invasive data collection, it's whether you can resist the urge to know everything about them in order to serve them best. After the break, we'll tackle the human-bot balancing act on Marginally Better. If you're a business owner, I need to tell you something that might sting. Your beautiful website is probably costing you thousands in lost revenue. The Nielsen-Norman Group found that 76% of professional websites, sites with million-dollar budgets, perform mediocre to poor on conversion. And if you built your site on Squarespace, Wix, or GoDaddy, your conversion rate is probably half of what it should be. Research shows the average business website can improve conversions by 35% or more just by fixing a few basic problems. I'm launching a new podcast called Website Reality Check. 10 episodes, each one walking you through research-backed fixes you can implement yourself, even on DIY platforms. Get free access to the first episode at websiterealitycheck.com. Stop leaving money on the table with websites that look great but don't convert. That's websiterealitycheck.com. It's Marginally Better. I'm Joe Taylor Jr. So here we are in this fascinating moment where every website designer is essentially becoming a diplomat, negotiating between 2 very different audiences. On one side, you have humans who want beautiful, intuitive experiences. On the other, you have an army of bots that just want clean, structured data that they can understand. And increasingly, these 2 wants are pulling in opposite directions. Let's pretend you're a user experience designer at an e-commerce company. Your A/B tests show that users love that sleek, minimalist design with subtle animations and clean white space. But your search engine optimization team is panicking because Google's AI overviews aren't picking up your content properly. Your site is bleeding traffic to competitors who've optimized for ChatGPT and Perplexity. This is the new reality. According to Akamai's security research blog, AI scraping now accounts for 600 million requests daily across their network alone. That's not some distant future scenario, that's happening right now. And here's what's really striking. OpenAI's crawler scrapes websites 1,700 times for every 1 referral it sends back, while Anthropic's Claude scrapes an astounding 73,000 times per referral. Compare that to Google, which scrapes 14 times per referral, and you start to see the scale of this new challenge. Writing in UX Magazine on Medium, UX researcher Christine Kalnina captures the fundamental tension. She writes, SEO is about making things simpler for the machine, while UX focuses on making things simpler for human readers. These might sound like 2 contrasting aspects, and this is why most marketers and indeed UXers struggle in finding the right balance. But here's what's fascinating and maybe counterintuitive. The companies that are winning this balance war aren't treating it as a compromise. They're finding ways to make both humans and bots simultaneously happy. According to Cloudflare's analysis of web crawlers in 2025, we're dealing with a surprisingly primitive landscape when it comes to AI bots. Among major AI crawlers, only Google's Gemini and Applebot currently render JavaScript. So that gorgeous interactive product configurator that you built in React, most AI systems can't see it at all. This technical limitation has profound implications for design. As Search Engine Land's Aleda Solis explains in her guide to optimizing for AI search bots, companies need to ensure their key content renders server-side and uses semantic HTML that both screen readers and bots can easily parse. This is where Sarah Goodman from inclusive design consultancy 829 Studios, writing in CRM Buyer, offers a crucial insight. She writes, "Inclusion and accessibility together are the digital equivalent of what in architecture is called universal design." Think about it. When you design for people with visual impairments, you create clear content hierarchies, descriptive headings, and logical navigation structures. These same elements are exactly what AI crawlers need to understand your content structure. When you optimize for screen readers, you're simultaneously optimizing for AI systems. The numbers tell a compelling story. According to Computer Weekly's coverage of Zendesk's research, 59% of consumers expect AI to completely alter how they interact with businesses. Meanwhile, Forrester's 2024 Customer Experience Index found that customer experience quality among U.S. brands is at an all-time low after declining for 3 consecutive years. We're caught in this tension between declining human experiences and rising AI expectations. But companies that get that balance right are seeing real results. As Tom Eggmeyer from Zendesk told Computer Weekly, CX leaders investing in human-centric AI report significant boosts in customer satisfaction and loyalty. Google just rolled out AI mode, powered by their new Gemini 2.0 model. As described on the Google blog, it can issue hundreds of searches simultaneously, reason across disparate information, and create expert-level reports in minutes. The feature is already driving over 10% increases in usage for queries that show AI overviews. What does this mean for business? If your content isn't structured for AI consumption, you're effectively invisible to this growing segment of search behavior. And this is where Martin Reeves' research, published in Harvard Business Review, becomes crucial. Reeves warns against the false belief that gathering more data and feeding it to algorithms can uncover truth and create value. He writes, human decision-making provides irreplaceable value through strategic thinking, context awareness, ethical judgment, and creative problem-solving that AI simply cannot replicate. This applies directly to user experience design. The most successful companies aren't letting AI or SEO requirements drive all their design decisions. They're using human insight to create experiences that serve both audiences intelligently. So, what does this look like in practice? Based on the research from Lisna on balancing SEO and UX, here are 3 key strategies. First, embrace progressive disclosure. Design clean, fast-loading pages with clear HTML structure that bots can easily crawl. Then layer on interactive elements and animations that enhance the human experience without breaking bot accessibility. Second, implement what Search Engine Land calls AI search content optimization. Use descriptive headings, structured data markup, and ensure key content renders server-side. Create content that answers questions naturally, the way humans actually ask them. Third, think about agent-responsive design. As Google and OpenAI build AI agents that can navigate websites on behalf of users, design your site so these agents can easily understand and interact with your content, just like you'd design for any other assistive technology. Here's the beautiful paradox we're discovering. The future of digital experience requires becoming both more seamless with technology and more human in our approach. The companies winning this war aren't choosing between humans and bots. They're creating experiences that serve both by focusing on clarity, accessibility, and genuine value. As EY Studios Analysis puts it, AI should be in service to humans and help companies understand and better connect to their customers as individuals. That's not just a philosophy, that's a practical design strategy. The next few years will separate the companies that see this as a technical challenge from those that see it as a design opportunity. Because ultimately, good design has always been about understanding your audience and serving their needs elegantly. Now, we just happen to have two very different but equally important audiences sitting at the same table. After the break, designers in downturns. It's Marginally Better. You know what drives me crazy? Beautiful websites that don't actually work. I'm Joe Taylor Jr. I see this all the time in my work at our user experience agency, Johns & Taylor. Here's what I've learned after more than 20 years of building websites. Most organizations approach this backwards. They jump straight into pretty mock-ups or use DIY site builders without understanding what their site actually needs to accomplish. That's why my team and I start with strategy, not just aesthetics. We've cracked the code on building websites that are both beautiful and functional. And right now, we're offering complimentary website and user experience assessments for business podcast listeners. No sales pitch, just honest feedback about what's working on your site and what isn't. If you're tired of a website that looks good but doesn't deliver results, visit makethewebsiteworkforme.com. Discover what your website could really accomplish. makethewebsiteworkforme.com. It's Marginally Better. I'm Joe Taylor Jr. There's this moment that every designer seems to face at some point in their career. It's not about a bad client or a missed deadline. It's deeper than that. It's the moment when you look around and wonder, do they actually value what I do? Sam Jane Burden captured this feeling perfectly in her piece for Medium's Design Bootcamp. She describes her journey from marketing to UX product management to UX UI design, what seemed like the perfect career trajectory. But then reality hit. She writes, "Despite my enthusiasm for UX, I eventually found myself at a crossroads. I thought I had failed because I didn't enjoy being a UX designer as much as I had anticipated, and the constant comparison to others made me question my path." Does that sound familiar? Burden's story captures something that's happening across the design world right now. The field that promises creative fulfillment and good salaries is shifting beneath our feet, and the numbers tell a story. According to data from ADP List, tracking over 640,000 design professionals, as reported by Chris Abad, the job market has transformed dramatically over the last few years. In 2022, about 60% of designers could find a new job within about 60 days. By 2024, that number dropped to below 50%. We're all taking longer to land positions. We're facing more competition, and we're dealing with increasingly selective companies. And then, this past June, something happened that sent shockwaves throughout the design community. As reported by UX Playbook, Fast Company, and multiple design publications, Carl Rivera, Shopify's chief design officer, announced on X, quote, "We just dropped UX as a title at Shopify. Same for content design. If you design, you're a designer. If you write, you're now a writer. Simpler, better." End quote. The reaction? Intense. Some designers felt validated, finally, a return to design as a unified craft. Others felt erased. The debate raged across design forums and social media. Rivera's thinking, as reported in industry trade articles, was that AI has fundamentally changed the designer's role. He says, AI enables anyone to make things usable. Our job is to make them unforgettable. It's a provocative idea that baseline usability is no longer the designer's job, it's a machine's job. What matters now is taste, intuition, the ability to create something that moves people. This shift is forcing all of us to think differently, not just about our titles, but about our value proposition. Burton figured this out. Instead of staying stuck at that crossroads, she had what she calls an epiphany. She wrote, "There are numerous alternative career paths within the UX domain that utilize the skills and knowledge I had acquired." Writing in another design bootcamp piece about alternative UX careers, she describes how she pivoted to web management, where she could leverage her UX background while pursuing work that brought her genuine fulfillment. The article details numerous paths designers are taking: content strategy, brand management, digital marketing, product management, roles where design thinking becomes a competitive advantage. The key insight? As Jahan Hosnali writes in his piece for TopTal about thinking like a strategist, a design strategist is responsible for understanding the business problems a customer is facing and then aligning the design process to be in lockstep with the objectives. This is backed up by hard data. McKinsey's research on the business value of design shows companies that score high on their design index grow revenue 32 percentage points faster than competitors. But it's not because they make prettier interfaces. It's because they solve the right problems with solutions that are desirable, feasible, and viable. The design industry is worth $43.4 billion globally and growing 4.4% annually, according to McKinsey. There are opportunities everywhere, but they might include career paths that don't look like traditional UX roles anymore. Burton's advice for anyone facing their own crossroads? True success is not merely about conforming to external standards, but about finding genuine happiness in your chosen field. So maybe the question isn't whether businesses value design. Maybe it's whether we value ourselves enough to evolve, to expand our definition of what it means to be a designer, and to find new ways to create meaningful impact. Because design thinking, that human-centered approach to solving problems, that's not going anywhere. It's just finding new expressions. Thanks for listening to Marginally Better. If you like what you heard, please help us out. Leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. It'll help us spread the word about the show to people just like you who care deeply about great customer experiences. If you want to get behind-the-scenes notes from me and from the rest of the team, and get all of the citations for the statistics that we pointed at throughout the episode today, go to marginallybettershow.com or follow the link in our show notes. Marginally Better is a Calufrax radio production. Our producer is Nicole Hubbard with research by Connie Evans. I'm Joe Taylor Jr.
Calufrax, mean little planet.